Guten Morgen, buenos dias, agus canas tú, agus tá fáidir gach duine slíga anocht. We're talking about the European Union regulations. So it's all of us in the European Union. I'm going to just pick up these papers here. There. We're working with the economic operators to promote a culture of compliance with the construction products regulations. Now, who are the economic operators? They're manufacturers, they're importers, they're distributors, and they're authorized representatives. So those are the four economic operators that we are looking at when we're placing a product on the market. And each one of them has responsibilities to comply with the EU construction products regulations. And it's our job to make sure and regulate compliance and ensure compliance. That there is the framework, legislative framework regarding market surveillance in Europe. What you have here in Ireland is the SI 225, which gives the market surveillance authorities their powers. You have 682, which gives Dublin City Council National Building Control Office the powers of market surveillance authorities. 225 also makes two competent national authorities, the TII and GSI, for specific product areas. Then you have the 225 incorporates the full suite of 305 of 2011, which is the European Union Construction Products Regulations, and Chapter 3 of 765 of 2008, which has since been repealed by the European Union 2019 of 102, that's the market surveillance regulation. So what you can take it is, this is the one that Simon was talking about that needs to be given effect in Ireland. However, we still have to abide by the European Union legislation, the market surveillance of construction products, and the compliance with it, and that's the regulation 2019 of 1020. So you have the construction products regulations, European Union, and you have the European Union market surveillance regulations, all incorporated into the Ireland's EU construction products regulations. Then we have delegated regulations that are down here, which relate to packaging and how we would put a CE marking on individual products, etc. And also the products that are placed on the market online. So they're the delegated regulations. We have guidance then from the European Union on CE marking step by step. We have risk assessments, market surveillance of construction products. We have our own guidelines for market surveillance. We have the BRAB note, which is a very good little information note. So if you get these slides, you can click on any of those links and they would bring you straight to those. And then you have the European Union Construction Products Regulations. So while it's a big legislative framework, really it's about compliant products. And what does the Construction Products Regulations say? It talks about the basic requirements of construction products, and the basic requirements construction products as a whole or in their separate parts must be fit for their intended use, considering in particular the health safety of persons involved throughout the life cycle. That means 50, 60 years throughout the life cycle of the works. Subject to normal maintenance, construction works must satisfy these basic requirements for construction works for an economically reasonable working life. That's what the basis of all of that is that they must be fit for their purpose for an economically reasonable working life. To feed into these essential characteristics, into this basic work requirements, you have essential characteristics, and they're defined in the construction products regulations. Then you have the market surveillance and compliance of construction of products. And that's market surveillance. It's defined, means the activities carried out and measures taken by market surveillance authorities to ensure that products comply with the requirements set out in the harmonized standards. And the harmonized standards, as Simon has spoken about them, there's the HENs, the EN standards that are published in the official journal of the European Union. And there's a couple of hundred of those. From our own point of view, then, Ireland feeds into Europe with our national market surveillance strategies. And we've been producing national market surveillance strategies since 2015. So since the National Building Control Office took over, we have contributed to the implementation of the National Market Surveillance Strategy 2021, 2022, and now we have produced the National Market Surveillance, the Market Surveillance of Construction Products Strategy for 2023, which will now fit into the National 2023 Strategy. And these must be published on the website of the European Union, and every other country does that as well. Now, The primary purpose of this regulation and the construction products regulation, and it's the European Commission that brought it in, is the purpose for the construction is to break down technical barriers to trade, ensure free movement of construction products across member states within the European Union. So what's that saying is that all of these products produced in any of the 27 countries should be of the same standard. That doesn't mean that what that means is that they're the same standard, but when you're using that product in a piece of construction, you must check that that product is suitable for that piece of construction. So it's the free movement of products across the EU is what you're talking about. Then we have the market surveillance and compliance of products. That's the regulation for the market surveillance. And that's objective is to strengthen how we carry out market surveillance in the 27 member states, and that we are monitoring these products coming into the member states. We're monitoring the products crossing member state boundaries. We're monitoring the products coming from third countries and strengthen that. And basically it tells us that we must monitor this, and we are the market surveillance authorities for construction products, and that's the 27 member states there. For the purpose of construction products, there are 35 product areas, and within those product areas, then you have your different standards. I've told you the economic operator, the importers, manufacturers, distributors, authorized representatives, construction products, any product kit which is produced or placed on the market for incorporation in a permanent manner into a construction. CE marking must be affixed to every single product that has a harmonized standard. So must be on it. And you'll see, if you look at a little 2 mil piece of electric wire, you'll see right down along at the EN standard where all the different details on it. And that's what you should see on every single harmonized standard without fail. You can't fix a CE marking unless you have a declaration of performance, and the declaration of performance details out the essential characteristics of that particular product. And the essential characteristics are got in the HEN's Annex ZA. So everybody here should be familiar with the harmonized standards. Check if they're published in the official journal, and then check the Annex ZA for the essential characteristics. Then you check if that product is suitable for what you're going to use it for. So that's really, for the purpose of those product areas, the National Building Control Office, Market Surveillance Office has been carrying out market surveillance on these particular product areas, aggregates for and masonry products. And we look at it in the context of the use of the product and the risk that the product poses on the market. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. This is how Simon has already talked to you about the notified bodies, the notifying authority, INAB, then the notified authorities there, the INAB deal is in charge of those. Then you have the notifying authority, that's the department. Then you have the EU, 31 market surveillance authorities, 2 competent national authorities, that's TII and GSI for area codes 12, 23 and 24, aggregates, road products and road making materials. National Market Surveillance Office, who coordinate the national, the construction products strategy and complement the delivery of market surveillance in the 31 local authorities. Single liaison office that was provided for under the new market surveillance regulations, regulation 2019 of 1020. And that is the CCPC, the Consumer and Protection Commission. They are the single liaison and they coordinate all of the market surveillance authorities in Ireland. And the construction products is only one. There are 70 other pieces of legislation that relate to products. And they are the single liaison office which coordinates that and produces the national strategy, and the construction products regulations then fit into the national strategy that way. And then they deal with the ADCOs, they're the association or the cooperative in Europe, and that's they are the bodies that coordinate market surveillance. So that's kind of the way it fits in. The obligations then of economic operators. The obligations of economic operators, I said they are importers, distributors, authorized representatives and manufacturers. They must, when placing a construction product on the market, have a declaration of performance, have it CE marked, and have safety information in use in a language which is easily understandable. Now, sometimes people confuse safety information with the Health and Safety Authority. This is the use of how you use that product and its use for how long you're going to use it for. So it's not the same thing, and every single product you buy should have those three. The economic operator must keep the technical documentation associated with that product for 10 years and have that available to the Market Surveillance Authority when they come to the economic operator's place where they're producing the product or placing it on the market. They must ensure that they have a sampling procedure and their factory production control and all the associated testing requirements that are associated with that available for inspection. They must ensure that the product bears the batch, the serial number, the identification name, the registered trade name, contact details, contact points. So they must have that available. So if you buy anything that is a subject of a harmonized standard and you don't have all of that and you can't find that, give it back, don't buy it. The reason, if the manufacturer or person placing a product on the market has a reason to believe that there's something wrong with it, it's not conforming, they must have a system to recall that product or take corrective action, and they must comply with reasoned requests from the Market Surveillance Authority. So that is their obligations. That's the European law across the 27 member states, and that's the law in Ireland. Economic operators, as I said, the ADCOs, they have produced the good practice document for carrying out market surveillance in Europe, and this is our guiding document that the 31 local authorities, the National Market Surveillance Office use. The economic operators that have given you their obligations and they are responsible for compliance. The Market Surveillance Authority, the task is to verify whether the product complies with the requirements of the legislation. And that's the harmonized standards of what they say the declaration of performance is, what they say on that for the essential characteristics. And the Market Surveillance Authority, and this is there, should not issue a compliance statement which could be seen as endorsing products. We don't issue compliance statements. We check for compliance with these, with the essential characteristics and the declared performance, and that they have all of their paperwork. And we take some samples for testing as well to demonstrate compliance. That's just, and you've seen this, and you'll see this all through this today, because it's very important. Declaration of performance. You must have a declaration of performance accompanying your product, and that's Article 7. The copy of the declaration of performance must be there and accompany every single product. So when you buy something, can I have the declaration of performance? If they have to go looking for it in the drawer, they can point you to a website. That's fine. There it is on our website. That's grand. That will comply. But you must have intended use on it, and Simon has referred to that. Manufacturers, the authorized representative, the harmonized standard reference number, the batch numbers, the appropriate technical documentation, all of that should be on it. So I would suggest that everybody would read that. The CE marking, again, that's a requirement, and you shall have that on the product. That's why when you see your little electrical wire, you see your box of ice cream, you'll see the batch number, you'll see who made it, where to return it, what's in it, the end use, nuts in it, or whatever. No different for construction products. The law is the same for the lot of them. So you should have your end use, the last two digits, the intended use, the class, the website hosting the DOP. So again, you should see that on your product, stamped on your product, on your packaging. Without prejudice, you must have your safety information in use, and that is a requirement. How do you know how to use the product? How do you know what are the risks associated with that product? And you see some people in the economic operator, oh, there's no risks associated with mine, it's very inert. It could be, a block could fall on your toe. That could be a risk, but that's a health and safety risk as well. But if it fell on somebody in use and it wasn't fixed properly, so you have to have your safety information in use. Those are the three documents that must come with it. And everybody should get in the habit of requesting these when they are purchasing construction products. You have seen this before. It's the market surveillance regulations are and the construction products regulations are removing barriers to trade. And it does not regulate the use of construction products when incorporated into construction work. So it doesn't regulate. So you must check the essential characteristics. Okay, what country am I in? Oh, I'm in Ireland. Oh, is there a standard recommendation for the use of this product in Ireland? So every country may have a national recommendation for the use of the product in construction. Then what am I constructing? Is the essential characteristics declared on this product suitable for my use in construction? And now, have I competent workman or woman? Am I building it in a workman-like manner? Have I the design correct? And is that product suitable for the circumstances and the conditions in which it has to be used? I mean, the very sunny southeast, you know, it might be grand there. I mean, the Wild West over here, the Western, whatever, Atlantic route, it might not be suitable over here. A lot of rain, a lot of humidity. So all of these things. So just remember the difference. This is what Article 11 says of the European Union Market Surveillance of Products, Compliance of Products Regulation says, Market Surveillance Authority shall perform appropriate checks. It is up, and Simon has said, it's up to the member states how they do it, but they shall do it. And shall doesn't mean may, it means shall, so they must do it. And in deciding on what checks to perform, and this is detailed out in the regulations, and this is for every one of the 27, and you can see why it's important. Based on the possible hazards of non-compliance, activities and operations under the control of the economic operator. So if they're doing quite a lot, maybe they mightn't be doing them right, or the hazards, non-compliances. We've had non-compliances in specific product areas in Ireland. So we identify those product areas as high risk to target for our inspections. Risk profiling, consumer complaints. We get consumer complaints and we shall check those out, because it is very important that we don't allow the proliferation of non-compliant products in this country. And if they are being exported, that we inform our other member states of these risks. 225 then, which gives the powers to the market surveillance officers in the 31 local authorities and the competent authorities, TII and GSI. Building control authority shall appoint authorised officers, and every building control authority should have competent authorised officers appointed. It is very important. It's very important for the economic progress of this country that we ensure that compliant products are placed on the market for use in our construction. And I won't go any further on that one. Competent authority appointed by the minister shall appoint authorised. So TII and GSI would have their own authorised competent officers. Then a competent authority can be appointed by the minister, and the minister has appointed myself as an authorised officer, Minister English. And when you're going out, you have your warrant. So Market Surveillance Authority's role is also to encourage, and they may encourage compliance. And it has been proven by the OECD that the best way to get people to comply is explain to them why they're complying with the regulations. And regulations in every civilized society are for the protection of the citizen, the health and safety of the environment, health and safety of the citizen, and protection of the environment. And that's the genesis of the construction products regulations. It's the genesis of what we also do is building regulations. So it is important that we actually have our competent people on the ground checking these, that people are not placing non-compliant products on the market, and people know the reason why they shouldn't place them on the market. We all suffer from health and safety and an economic perspective, and an environmental perspective. So this is part of our encouraging compliance this CPD day. Powers then, as I said, we have 31 market surveillance authorities, and they do the product areas 1 to 35. It's quite an onerous task, but if we break it up into different local authorities having a different competency in each, in different product areas, we can do this. The National Market Surveillance Office can transgress all of the counties and promote compliance and support compliance and be complementary to encouraging compliance and in each of the local authorities. We are very lucky to have the Geological Service of Ireland and TII, who are the competent persons in area code 12, 23 and 24 aggregates, and aggregates for road construction products and road making materials. And they are the competencies in that. So they support the market surveillance authorities in ensuring compliance. And we're working with both of these competent authorities in promoting compliance, and we'll have a little bit more for that view probably in the next month or so on how we're going to do this and get resources from each of the competent authorities to assist and complement what we're doing on the ground. As I said, good practice market surveillance, the ADCO in Europe. We have our own guidelines for market surveillance, which are under review at the moment and we'll be updating. That's my delegation from Minister English for both building control and market surveillance across Ireland. As I said, activities of market surveillance, then what do? We, as per the good practice for market surveillance, we look at the formal compliance, and I've spoken to you a lot about the formal compliance. And a lot of the time, if you get your paperwork right, you'll probably get your technical essential characteristics right. If you go into an economic operator and they haven't got their paperwork right, then you wonder what's happening in the rest of the manufacture of that product. So the formal compliance is basically the administrative part. Have I got my DOP? Have I got my CE marking? Have I got my safety information in use? Have I got all my test records? Have I got my traceability for the 10 years? And have I got all those paperwork? And are they readily available? Have I got a website? Is the CE marking pinned onto the product properly? It won't fall off in the wind or the rain won't wash it off. So that's the kind of formal. Technical compliance, then sometimes we take away samples and we take them off for testing, and we test them against the essential characteristics as set out in Annex ZA of the harmonized standards. Compliance then checks and inspections. We carry out active market surveillance, and that's our national campaign. As I said, I'd show you our national campaign in the next couple of slides. Then reactive, we respond to queries and complaints. And then the random ones. We sometimes are passing by and say, oh, I didn't, an economic operator, take out our warrant and go check the product. Or we're in a retailer and we look at a product, it could be a fire alarm. We'll pick it up, check that it has the proper markings on it, and maybe we'll go back to the manufacturer and check what testing and who they are and where it came from. So they're the random. So it's very important to have the active, the reactive and the random. Random spot checks, then general activities that market surveillance authorities at 31, they must put material on their website relating to market surveillance for the citizen. That's putting people first, put information relating to market surveillance. And the National Market Surveillance Office can assist in that. There are some very good websites and some of them need to improve. Random spot checks take samples and test and review information regularly in their own local authority to establish who are the economic operators placing construction products on the market. And you can go to your rates office and they'll give you that. Or if anybody is going around doing their building control inspections, they'll be passing them and seeing what they're producing. And it is very important to actually, be vigilant on this. The other thing that we do is training and promoting compliance. And this is our first day of training and promoting compliance, and hopefully it'll be the first of many others. And that's economic operators. We've spoken to economic operators. We've spoken to the Irish Concrete Federation. We've spoken to other economic operators. And we have then the other market surveillance and the notifying bodies in the room here. We have TII, we have GSI, we have SEAI, and BRE, the NSAI. And it's because we're all working together to promote compliance and close this circle. Because National Market Surveillance Office can't do it on their own. They need the feedback and they need the working with the 31 local building control authorities. We need the competent advice from the support from the competent authorities, TII and GSI, and then the notifying bodies. We need to be talking to those and making sure that they're streamlining how they audit these products and look at the products and produce the factory production control systems. And then we get, we work with other market surveillance authorities, say that the health and safety that have other products on, and we look at how they carry out market surveillance, and we liaise with those through the single liaison office, so that we're getting all of this right. And this is, and Simon said it, this is a never evolving process of continuous improvement, continuous development, building capacity in the sector and having an awareness. And even, you know, we should actually, children in schools as part of their SPH, you know, should know what to look for in the product when they're buying it, because it's part of the education of what we're looking at, and to make sure that we're getting it right. Enforcement. Part of our role is enforcement. And what you need to know is that enforcement, the OECD enforcement, covers all aspects of bringing people, regulatory subjects into compliance. And that involves training, involves providing warning letters, inspections, and enforcement in the narrower sense of bringing people to court and prosecuting them. But normally when you're in court and prosecuting somebody, you've kind of lost because the product has failed. So we need to promote compliance, make people know why they should comply, and make people aware of their obligations. So that's training. So inspections then is a well-researched piece, and this is the best way to actually bring people into compliance. For example, the guard standing on the bridge, everybody just slows down under the speed limit. If the economic operators know we're there, know we're promoting compliance, know we will target you if you're not obeying the law, and you will have sanctions, that will promote compliance. So that's why it's very important for the 31 local authorities and ourselves and the other bodies to be aware of this. Again, every member state shall draw up an overarching national market surveillance strategy, shall. And I've gone through the reason why you would identify areas in the member states for enforcement and everything. So that's a requirement, and that's the European law. And they're doing the same in Spain and in Portugal and Germany, the same as we're doing here. That's the National Market Surveillance Strategy 2021, which the National Market Surveillance Office, in conjunction with the 31 local authorities, implemented. 2022 strategy, and these are both published on the European Union. This is our 2023 strategy, and it has yet to be incorporated into the national strategy. As I said, there's 70 other pieces of market surveillance legislation out there. What we're going to do this year is we're going to continue with our aggregates market planned market surveillance strategy, which we commenced in 2021. And we are looking at aggregates for mortar, aggregates for concrete, aggregates for bituminous products, and aggregates for the underfloor fill. So these are the main aggregates that we place in our construction. And while they are, you know, they're low-priced products, but the consequences of the failures is huge. The risks, we know the risks, and they're placed in our foundations, in our walls, which are very hard to remediate. So this is very important that we get out here and make sure that we have compliant Area Code 24 on the market. As I said, these are the checks and I've gone through that. The formal, the declaration, the CE mark, safety information in use. Anything that's wrong with those, we're getting them, bringing them into compliance and asking the economic operators to take corrective action. Some of those, they may not be serious, but it is the law, and it should be, the paperwork should be correct. And it's a bit like if I bring, you know, if I'm compliant to my tax and I haven't got my paperwork right, it's still an offence, but I am compliant. So the same here, we need to get everybody singing off the same hymn sheet and coming into compliance. It's not just about making a few lintels or making a few blocks and selling them and undercutting. That is not, it's out. Construction is a very complex area. You're building your house for, or a building, 50, 60 years. Anything that is occupied in 1975, the Building Research Institute has said it'll be occupied actually in 2050. So look at. That's the way we do this, the information we have. We send out our information note, and we have information notes for quite a lot of products now, product areas drawn up. We send them out in advance to the economic operators. Then we plan the visits, and then we conclude them, and we give them details of our powers of inspection, what's required of them and what we'll be looking for, their time for compliance, the corrective action. So normally when the planned market surveillance, we have written and sent this in advance. So the economic operator has time to actually get their house in order. For the reactive, we'll just arrive out. So we're doing the aggregates, and we also have added this year to our market surveillance strategy. Structural steel and aluminium, the EN1090, the lintels and wall tiles, because they're used in the majority of our construction, and they are a small product. The notified bodies for some of these, when Brexit happened, they were in the UK, so we need to know who are the notified bodies for these now. And these perform vital parts of our construction, so we need to get this right. So those are the planned. The other things we do are the reactive. We get a lot of complaints, and we first of all bring it to the attention of the Market Surveillance Authority, the local authority, and then we'll support them in dealing with it. The other complaints we get are through the RAPEX notification, the European notification system. The majority this year and last year have been in relation to toys and other market surveillance areas. We get a few on fire alarms. We have got RAPEX notifications on fraudulent glass and things like that in the past, but not since the National Market Surveillance Office took up. So it's very important that we will actually go through this. It's sent to us by the CCPC. We'll keep monitoring this, and then we will notify the local authority in question. But if you click on the links, you'll get that. And I think I have a link there on that. The ICSMS then is the other system that we use, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that later. When we carry out an inspection, it's the platform. But if it's not measured, it's not done. So these are our KPIs. So I have the 2021, 2022, and the 2023 here. The number of inspections, the number of requests for information, the number of corrective action notices served or issued, the number of testing carried out. And you see, we carried out quite a lot of testing there last year. And what I can say is that the testing was quite good and complied with the essential characteristics of the annexes. The paperwork leaves a bit to be desired, and we've identified all of these economic operators for further visits. And we have been supported in quite a lot of our testing by the GSI, and that has been very, very useful to us and to build our competency in it. So that's the indicators. So we're busy. How we sit in Europe then, we have the Union Product Compliance Network. And that's a network of the individual market surveillance authorities. And they look at how we streamline the carrying out of market surveillance across Europe. So we feed into that, and ourselves and the department feed into that. The ADCOs then, we are a member, Ireland is a member of the Construction Products ADCO, that's the Administration and Cooperative Groups. And we talk to, say, for example, I think Belgium is actually doing an aggregates campaign at the moment. So we'll chat to the Belgian people in that country and say, how are you doing or what are you finding? And we share our information. So it's very useful on how we carry out market surveillance across the European Union. So shared interests, we can do projects together. So we're looking at doing probably a bit of research with the other countries. So it's that's the RAPEX notification. So watch out for that. If there's any issues, we send them out. There's a couple of issues. Sometimes we spot a couple of issues on other areas which are not market surveillance. We send them out to you anyway, just to keep an eye on it, because they mightn't be the market surveillance of construction products, but they could be related to electrical wiring or something else that wouldn't be in our area of remit. But we should have regard and be able to, if you're out on a site, or know about them. That's the ICSMS system. That's the national platform where you put all of the inspections. So I can go in and look at the inspections that Germany has done. They can go in and look at our inspections. That's how we fare out. This is just an idea of what we're doing, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that. and where we're hitting all counties. And thank you to all the market surveillance officers who came out and we worked together, building capacity, building competencies. That's what we're kind of looking at for traceability. Traceability is very, very important. And on every single EN standard, it tells you exactly what you need. So on your docket, this is what you need. That's 771, the dockets for your blocks. Trademark, means of identifying the date of manufacture. And if you go look at your ice cream box, you'll see all of that on it. And you should see it on your block. There is no reason. The block is a big item. You can see smaller items that are marked perfectly. That's what the law says. And that's what we've agreed. And that there is a reason for that. That we know what we're buying. We know what's in it. We know the end of date. We know what to use it for. Now, they're just little photographs that we've been just picking up on the way. My attitude to this, if you see that with no markings and you're buying blocks, walk out of there and walk in here. We are working with these people, economic operators, to actually mark those blocks, put a marking on the straps. You should not see that. And if you see it anywhere, whether you're a housing authority, whether you're roads, whether you're building control, market surveillance, give them back. They're not compliant products. They're not marked right. You don't know what's in them. There's 12620 aggregates for concrete. What should be on your docket? On your docket for underfloor fill? It's black and white there. You see that? You're going in to buy your surface materials for your roads. Walk out of a place if you see that. You don't know how this is going to be mixed in there. And that's roads. We shouldn't be accepting it. We don't, and people talk about procurement. You don't actually have to. Procurement has nothing to do with that. That's a product that could be liable for being mixed wrong and everything else. It's not proper. So all of that's there. That's what you want to see. Properly stockpiled, properly labeled. Walk out. How do you know? You would look at that today, and then somebody comes and then throws the aggregate in the wrong stockpile. Where's it marked? How does anybody know what it is? Walk out. Walk away and complain it to the environmental officer. Walk away and have a look. If you look at stock blocks and say the storage, where the materials are stored. Should they be stored outside? Should they be stored inside? So you need to check that. It does say in the delegated regulation that you should have a website, or that a website is in this 2021. Any economic operator that hasn't a website, that hasn't their declarations of performance on the website, that hasn't got their safety information in use, that hasn't their CE marking all on their website with their products, I would question that. It's not rocket science. Anybody can build a website. So you should be able to do that. Now, this is an interesting one. And this is, you will get the answer. Well, once this product walks out of here, I don't know what it's going to be used for. If somebody drives out with a lorry, a couple of 4,000 blocks, you can reasonably foresee that it's not going to be used to build the pet's doghouse, that it's going to be used in a dwelling or in a house or in a building, which must have your proper paperwork. So you can reasonably, most economic operators, that is not an opt-out clause. They can reasonably foresee what something is going to be bought for. Then you must have an end use. You must mark that, or you must say, actually, can't be used for this. Don't use in that. So that's there, and somebody has to implement it. You've seen this before, and I put it in because it's not strictly market surveillance, but really, if we're using these products, we must have read this. We must have read the guide. If you're a self-builder, if you're an end user, if you're a designer, if you're a specifier, you must check the DOP, check the essential characteristics, check that it's suitable for your end use. Your end use is usually going to be sitting there for the next 50, 60 years. So market surveillance, what we're about, we must encourage compliance, promote compliance, penalise those that are not complying. Why? I think we've all had enough. So go very good.